Good morning, Nigeria, and make you welcome. This is Enterprise Weekend, reaching you from Enterprise Television from our corporate headquarters in Lagos State, in Nigeria. I am Henry Igwebike, and we would be kicking start this morning with the newspapers just to let us in on all that we have going on right there. And after then will be our main conversation also for today. Do well to be part of what we do. Have a say in what we say. You can find us, reach us when you visit us at enterprisetvnews.com. You may equally like, comment, and follow us on all our social media platforms at Enterprise TV7. I'm very so honored, yes, very so honored to have right here in our studios Dotun Oladipo, a journalist, public affairs analyst, and the publisher, The Eagle Online. Thank you so very much, sir, for being here.
Thank you for having me.
I truly do appreciate you.
Thank you so much.
Beautiful. So let's kickstart. Let's kickstart today with our newspapers. We have 4 newspapers actually. We have the Guardian, the Weekend Trust, the Punch, the Vanguard, and would have equally the Eagle Online. We'd love to go there equally to see what's there. So let's possibly start with the Saturday Punch newspaper. Big story: U.S. visa panic disrupts dirty December. Travelers, students cancel trips to Nigeria. A fear of detention, visa revocation heightens. We have other growing matters. We will show terrorists sponsors no mercy. That's coming from our president.
Yeah.
Budget 5.4 trillion for defense and security. We have other stories here. Guardian of the Dead, harsh realities of Lagos cemetery workers. I guess there's a human angle story. But let's start with the U.S. visa panic disrupted dirty December. What started like an opportunity to give Nigerians and equally foreigners to come enjoy themselves in Nigeria, at least to feel the summer that never goes away. Of course, which we are taking advantage of as dirty December is beginning to nosedive. What do you think is the problem?
Well, it will. And the major fear there is, if we leave the US, when we want to get in, what if something has changed and we're unable to get in? That's the major problem. Because some in the past, they've traveled out of the US. On trying to regain entry, they were told they couldn't enter. And they were turned back from the airport. So that's the same fear. Students, it happened before. The students who had paid in full were denied re-entry after coming in for the holiday. So everybody wants to stay put. Stay in there. At least you have, if it's an internal issue, it's still far better than you being outside and then being locked out. So that's why people are saying, let me just stay in there whenever we can. Whenever the man who is pushing in different direction leaves the seat, then life can return to normal.
But let's talk about its effect on the tourism sector in Lagos particularly. Last year alone, just lounges, right, made about 54 billion. That was the money spent on buying liquor and so many other things. Just lounge. I'm not talking about real estate and other things. How do you think this would affect the tourism in Lagos?
Well, we shouldn't forget that it's not only the people in the US who are coming into Lagos. And hopefully, when we see the figures this year, we'll be able to say, okay, maybe about so percent. Because I'm not sure we did get a breakdown of each country that came in, where people came in from each country. So, but as at October, most of the apartments have been booked in Lagos.
That was this year?
This year.
Oh, okay.
As at October, most of them had been booked fully, completely. So the question now is, are these people going to show up, especially those who are in the US? Are they not going to show up? So we will know.
Yes, because there's this growing fear actually, because you said this, that lots of apartments have been booked, especially for short lets, they've been booked down. Yes. Now there's this fear, someone revealed on TikTok, I would love to believe, that most of those who come from the United States of America use credits to do some of these things. And the possibility of canceling that when they get back to the United States, or now that they might not even come, is there.
Yes, it's there. That's what I'm saying. By the time all of this ends in January, we'll know how many people cancelled. So it tells us, it gives us an idea of where those people are from. Because I can tell you that I've received visitors from the UK this December.
Yes.
And I'm still expecting some to come in from the UK. From the US, none yet.
Yes.
I mean, my friends or family members. Yes. So we are still going to now look at it and see if indeed there's a massive or major decline.
Okay.
Because it's not only from the US we are expecting people. Canada, UK, France, all of those are there. Even African countries, people are coming in. And it still won't stop their own musicians from coming in here.
Okay.
So because they are citizens, bona fide, they can always go in and it's just this shifting policy. For instance, now we've been told, as at this morning, the report I read, that there is now a policy that says Nigerians and some citizens of other countries should not be granted residency.
How do you mean?
In the US.
In the US?
Yes.
Wow.
So it means you can't apply again. So, but those who are already there, will it be revoked? Because we have a lot of Nigerians who are residents legally. Those are the people, some of those are those who feel, okay, if I go, will it be revoked before I return? Those are the, I don't know if you get me.
Yes.
The small number of those who already have papers to stay, but who have a feeling that, what if I come out and something changes before I get back in? That's the category we are talking about.
All right, so let's move on to the Eagle Online newspaper. We have the story here. A federal government to regard armed groups, gun-wielding non-state actors as terrorists, and that's coming from Tinubu. It made it on the eagleonline.com.ng. Let's speak to this particular issue. Before now, we've had what had been known to Nigerians as hybrid intervention, where people, non-state actors, say we are going to help in taming the issue of terrorism, criminality in Nigeria. And when they register their interest, the federal government has a way of helping them, provide arms and ammunition for them, to help them as vigilantes. These same people turn around to be the ones affecting or debasing the nation. So how do you think the federal government can distill and separate people who might be willing to help the nation and people who are the real criminals here?
Now, from what the president said yesterday and some incidents during the week, we can begin to see that the government is creating a distinction among these two groups. Okay. For instance, I'm sure you would have read the story from Kwara during the week where they said some non-state actors were found with guns approved by the Office of the National Security Advisor.
Exactly, I saw that.
Now, we must be able to distinguish between the two. That man who was found in possession of that gun, you said he was identified, I don't like that classification, as a Fulani man who shouldn't ordinarily have access to it. So those are the kind of people who must begin to question, because the gun was actually approved for the vigilantes in Kwara, which is not out of place. And what the president now is saying is, see, we've got to create some additional forces armed who can deal with situations as they are. And in his budget speech yesterday, he mentioned some of them, including the forest guards, vigilantes, because they are now trying to equip people locally. At least before we start the state police.
State police, okay. Okay, let's have this running just before that one starts.
Running. Okay. Because this issue of the forest guard, we've always had it as something that we should have considered. Because when you look at maybe up to 99% of attacks on communities, these people come from the forest. So if you have forest guards who are armed and look and monitor movements within the forest, we are going to reduce this. And I think it's perfect for the president to say, see, we are going to ensure that we distinguish and arm those who are supposed to work for us and not against us.
Do you think the president has the political will to deprive the Miyetti Allah, for example, that would say their cattle are under attack and the need for them to have weapons to protect them? Do you think he has the political will?
Now, let's also get something right about the Miyetti Allah. They are a recognized group, registered.
Pressure group, or what kind of group now? Do we distill them? Where do we fix them?
It's more of a business group.
Okay.
Now, so if we're able to, and don't forget there are two factions. There's one they call Coerte.
Okay.
So when you look at the two, they also within themselves, they have identified some who are criminal elements also operating by that name. You know they have a national chairman.
Yes, they do.
They have an EXCO,
Yeah.
complete EXCO that you can identify. Those are not the ones we are talking about. We are talking about the criminal elements within them. I'm sure you also have read the story of the Deputy Superintendent of Police who shot himself dead.
Yeah, yes.
Those are criminal elements within a recognized organization. A policeman selling arms and ammunition to criminals. You can't say because of that we are going to categorize the police as generally criminal. We've got to be able to identify those who are perpetrating this evil and take them out.
Now, you're talking about categorizing them and taking them out. For a very long time, all the banditry, kidnapping we've seen, we've experienced, we've seen the viral videos. Every single one of these persons narrowed their heart and their mind to one particular group, the Fulani, and they say they are the ones that have done this all over the forest and all that. Now, don't you think if this particular group were to be any other group in other regions of Nigeria, they would have been proscribed? Then why is the government finding it difficult to proscribe these people that are doing so much harm across the country?
That's the Miyetti Allah.
Yeah, well, Miyetti Allah, if it may be the other faction you were talking about, because we need to distill them. Then maybe they need to create another name.
Exactly.
So we know who we're dealing with.
You see, that's why I said I don't like mentioning names that way. The DSP who shot himself dead is a Nigerian. We have not gone, we shouldn't go to the point where we begin to say this DSP Abdullah Issa is a Fufude. Is a Yoruba, is just a criminal.
Oh, okay, okay.
That's the point in all of it. Among us here, we have criminals. There was a time some attacks occurred, I think in Ondo State, and they were saying it's people who came from outside. By the time they caught 5 young people, they were all people of Yoruba origin. So, but when these things happen, it's just a generalization. We are fixated about certain things. And we just say, it's the Fulani cattle again. We should be getting some of these things, narrowing them to those who perpetrate this evil. Those who perpetrate them. In some areas in Lagos, in the markets, for instance, you have a lot of guys who are from the north. They do the wheelbarrow pushing, they carry your loads for you. Are we going to eliminate all of these guys because some people of northern, and mind you also, people have not been able to successfully categorize all of these people. A lot of people have been caught in banditry are not Nigerians. But because most of us are unable to understand the language they speak, we always think that everybody who speaks Hausa is an Hausa man. I have somebody who is a Yoruba man, complete Yoruba man. He speaks better Hausa than Yoruba because he grew up in the north. So to now hear him speaking Hausa and then you now say he's one of them, he's a Fulani man. That for me is wrong. We have a lot of people like that who originated from one part of the country, but because they've stayed in one, or I can cite an example of somebody who is close to me. My wife's uncle, he has lived the whole of his life in Kano. There was a time he built houses in his village in Kwara State. We thought he was coming home. He did not. He said he built it so that when it's time for holiday, he will come there with his family and then go back. The man died about 5 years ago. We thought, okay, with his death, his wife and children, they went back. They said that's where their life is. How do you convince those kind of people who have Yoruba origin that Hausa people are bad? Because that's where they gave birth to all their children. That's where they got married. That's where their life started. So I keep saying it. We need to be able to see criminals as criminals.
And not tagging them to where they come from.
No, we shouldn't. We shouldn't at all. We shouldn't. When you also go into the army, in Borno and other parts, you see that soldiers have been caught selling arms and ammunition to criminals. And some of them, I think one of them was somebody from the southeast. We've had somebody from the southwest who was also caught, a soldier. So we should pick these people out individually and get to deal with them. Especially once we establish that they are Nigerians and not foreigners. We have a lot of foreigners perpetrating evil in this country. A lot of them. So that's my own point. If you do legitimate business, why not? In Yoruba land alone, the number of pressure groups that we have, who in the past were armed, but now have been, you have Agbekoya, you have Odua People's Congress, a lot of them who are doing their businesses legitimately, but who have been attacked, and as such have armed themselves to resist attack. We now take them and say, okay, you people, because you are this, we can't give you. No, we must get to a point where we are going now. Because if you still heard the president speak yesterday, he spoke about the National Assembly starting the process for legitimizing state police. Those are the kind of things that we want. But before we get to the putting the state police in place, can we look at vigilantes? Can we look at in the north when Amoteku was formed in the south? They also got one together. We are not talking about the ISBA that is not which is against the economy of the country. As far as I'm concerned,
enemies of the country.
Yes, we are talking about groups that can stand up to. We have the JTF, Joint Task Force. When the soldiers want to go into the forest, then these guys know it better. They take them along. That's why you see even the military, in taking credit for their exploits, they mention these guys that will work in conjunction with the JTF.
Because the truth remains that they would never have succeeded without Tantita, you know,
Exactly.
in the Niger Delta.
In the Niger Delta, because those guys, they know the terrain.
The terrain very well.
You must find people who know your terrain so that you don't just go and walk into mines.
Yes, because I've always, questioned why when they say they abduct 300 kids from a school in Niger, these people didn't flee to another country. They are within the country.
They are within.
And every place they find themselves, it's a mapped place. Every inch in Nigeria has someone representing it as a councillor, as a local government chairman, as a state house rep member, and so on. So why then is it difficult for any responsible government to say, these people didn't flee into another country. They are within us. Why can't we map this place out and flush them without going to have a sit-down meeting to discuss like they are friends?
Now, I've been in this matter of covering the defense sector of journalism very well. And people keep referring to the fact that when we went to Sierra Leone, when we went to Liberia, we didn't take us time. I said, yes, it was easier because everybody in the territory that the Nigerian troop went to, along with the US and other troops went into, they were enemies.
Okay, they were seeing everyone like an enemy.
Exactly. They were enemies. Because what they wanted to do was to protect that country from breaking. Unfortunately, at that time, it is also not impossible that those people did not come up with the idea of mixing with the locals who are not the targets.
Okay.
It's, you know, I was in Liberia and Sierra Leone, and you see our Air Force mapping out strategies. Some of them, after that exploit in Liberia and Sierra Leone, they were invited to the US to even lecture their own people on how to use some of the equipment that we consider obsolete, but which our guys succeeded in using in Liberia and Sierra Leone. That's what happened. When the late General Victor Liumalu, when he got into Sierra Leone, his mandate from late General Sonny Abacha was to get Charles Taylor by any means. It didn't take him time because they were moving into an enemy territory. They were not considering the fact that we have our own people living with these people mixing with our own people. If they take 300 children and they've located them, you know where they are you going to bomb?
So are you telling me those 300 kids that they've taken,
are they
going to be reserved in? They should have enough accommodation, because we can't say all of this without mentioning complicity of the government.
There is no doubt about that.
Because you can't succeed even as a brigadier general when you know that the governor is complicit. Yeah.
Now, people always refer to what late General Sonny Abacha said, that if there is an insurrection or any kind of anti-state activity that lasts more than 48 hours, you know that that government is complicit. The challenge that we've had and which we still have is the fact that we allow these non-state actors to fester enough for them to gain grounds. That's the problem that we created. It has gone so far that natives now live in fear. Because they will tell them, if you spill, we'll kill you. If they decide to come for us, you are going to die with us. They won't let them live. And like I said, don't forget, some people have lived in certain areas that living that area is completely out of it. They would rather die there. So it's a major problem. But the one we should be tackling, for instance, is how did people who did not bring Marco Polo buses pack 300? Those are the things we should be tackling. Because like we said, when you look at our own security in-house, that's where the problem starts from. Remember the school, I think that was in Kebbi, where they said, when those guys, a few hours before they were going to strike, the soldiers moved out. We have not had the outcome of that report till now.
And that's why
we are waiting it.
You see, that's why I talked about political will. Do you think President Bola Tinubu has that political will to stop all of this? Because it's like there are bigger players behind the curtain.
Those are the ones we need to deal with, because now we can see something. In the past, for instance, in Chibok,
yes,
in 2014, we were told that the troops left shortly before those guys struck. Did we hear any kind of arrest? We did not. It just fizzled out. But in this case, we are seeing some arrest and interrogation.
In that regard?
In this one in Kebbi.
Okay.
We are seeing it because those guys have been taken to Abuja. Those guys who left their duty post to come and explain who told you, who gave you the order to leave when these guys were coming. It's not coincidence now.
It's not.
Nobody can convince any rational person about that. That about an hour before some people struck and took away students, you left your duty post. Even if you needed to buy food, one of you would have gone or two.
Yeah. Not everyone.
Not everybody. So we can see that there is. We are beginning to see some movement, some action. Like you said, we still need bigger political will to deal with these things. If we don't deal with it, we are still going to have those in-house authorized people giving information, arms, and ammunition to these people. Remember, there was a time a lot of our soldiers were killed. It was in-house information.
Even the general that was killed as a result of that.
So those are the things we now need to start dealing with. And once we are able to deal with those ones, knowing that action will be taken against me, these things will reduce. And I think that's the political will we are talking about.
All right, so talking about a political will, let's move to the Weekend Trust newspaper for today. And survivors relieve Maitasini violence 45 years after. I remember those days in the 80s, early 80s.
That's
you know, the
Maitasini.
yes, exactly. You know, very, very... So it's actually the insurgency we have didn't start today.
Yeah.
It's been there a very long time. But let's take a look at emergency power under scrutiny. Supreme Court of Nigeria is under reference here. Do you think Nigeria's democracy is under attack?
Well, I've read that. I've read the comments on that Supreme Court ruling, and people are saying it's in that here, not there.
But what do you think?
What I think is that we should not give our leaders too much power that will turn them into dictators, our elected leaders. Because if you say to a president, you have a right to remove governors, suspend them from office, then the president can wake up one day and suspend all the state governors and put in
His
administrators. And based on that, he will tell you, since we need to conduct fresh elections or wait for, I need to extend my tenure. That's how we start. That's how we start. We've had a former president who has denied that he attempted the third term. But we've had foreigners and locals saying, you attempted it.
And the possibility of having a repeat of that is almost what we are seeing now. Don't you think so?
That's what a lot of people are saying, that we are the Supreme Court, by not being explicitly clear on this matter, is creating a pathway to dictatorship. Because for me, yes, a lot of sections were quoted, this law, that law. But you were elected, I was elected. Why must you be sacked? And then I now also remind some governors who have been complaining behind the scene, you people also do the same thing to local government chairmen. Basically what they do. They just wake up one day, instead of going through the assembly. We've had a lot of chairmen suspended of recent, but it was done realizing that we have been complaining now through the state assemblies. Go and check them. In the last, I think I've read about 2 or 3 in the last 1 week. Suspended local government chairmen. We need to let this thing go through the normal channel. It's important. Otherwise, somebody like me who for now is seeing like, okay, we should run democracy. If I have that kind of power, there is a possibility of turning into a dictator. It's because they have not been given that power. If it's expressly given to me, the possibility will be very high. Especially when you have advisors who are also power hungry, who want to stay on in government. Because a lot of these things, decisions are taken not solely by the president, but by his council.
So do you think we should keep having amendment in our constitution? Because with what the Supreme Court has done now, lots of people have cried that we need to have an amendment in our constitution to correct all of these shenanigans happening, especially coming from the judiciary that should be the last hope of the common man.
I'm still saying it, that the Supreme Court will still need to clarify that judgment.
So is it possible for them to, what they have passed a veto to still reclarify it?
Not, yes, you can reclarify and say, see, go and read the letters and the spirit of this judgment. This is what we said, and not this interpretation. We've had it in the past, where the Supreme Court will clarify.
So if they do,
because sometimes it can be a matter of language.
So if they do, and it still appears it's still same old, does that make any difference?
If it's still the same thing, then there should then be some, I won't say amendment. It should be specifically stated in the Constitution that this is how far a president can go. Because, like I said, there are two sides to it now. Some people are saying, no, that's not what the Supreme Court said. Some people are saying, yes, that's what the Supreme... So we should be able to get exactly what the Supreme Court said.
Well, I
that's
do
my
not...
position.
Yes, I truly want to believe with you, but I guess all of this might possibly stop when the executive, the president particularly, frees himself from the independence of the judiciary. I do not know if they still have any bit of independence.
Any form of independence.
Yes, the judiciary.
It depends on who is in charge.
Who exactly? You mean who the president is?
No. Who? The judge. It depends on the judge. There are some judges, they will tell you, this is how I feel about this. And they deliver their judgment that way.
So you mean all of the Supreme Court judges are...
Number two, sir. Don't let us forget that in going to the Supreme Court, it is not just by way of appointment, it is also by way of experience. These are people who have gone through the gamut, who have risen. And there is something that we say in one part of the country. What the elder will see sitting down, a child who climbs a tree can see it.
So in this case, who's the elder?
The Supreme Court.
With their mannerism, do they look like elders?
Now I'm telling you,
yes.
You know, we are sitting somewhere and doing our analysis. They are sitting somewhere and looking at the books. How do I interpret? It is interpretation of the law. That's why I'm always careful when it comes to the courts. Because you see in some cases, let me use an example. A politician takes his party to court. The court says, no, we don't have anything, it's your internal affairs. In some cases, they go to court. The court says, yes, I will attend to this. Now what we have seen over the years has been the fact that some politicians are smart enough to say, my rights have been breached. That's why I'm coming to court.
So it's not so
your rights,
an internal...
It's no longer because your rights must be heard by the court. It has gone beyond the internal politicking of your party. Now some politicians have become that smart now. So they don't go to court to go and fight you that you did not, the primary was not conducted by the law of that party. They go to court to go and say, you break my right by not allowing me to contest.
Okay.
It's a different ball game entirely.
Yeah, it makes sense.
So that's what I'm saying. What those guys at the Supreme Court are saying, we may not be saying them. And that's why sometimes we need some of these clarifications. What exactly did you say? Come and explain it to us. Because that's what I think we need now. I'm on several groups and I've seen the arguments. Journalists who are lawyers who have taken this issue up and saying, no, in this place, the Supreme Court gave, I'm trying to look for the loophole. That it was like, they took a position and that was the final. But in this place, they shifted that position again and came to this place, and so you cannot make this other one a finality.
Okay.
They've had that argument back and forth, and senior lawyers too have done that. So let the Supreme Court tell us, what did they see in getting to that position? Because like I said, theirs is about having gathered knowledge, experience from lower courts to that point. So they are saying more than others are saying.
Well, I just hope that what they see is not in any way influenced by all the houses they've been given. And all the
I want to believe that. That's why I said, see,
all the houses they've seen by yes or weekend, there's so many other people who have...
in all of these things, we should also give the judiciary the benefit of the doubt.
Okay.
And not link it to some of these things. I also don't think that they should give judgments based on favoritism.
Okay.
The fact that a man has built you a house to stay while you are a judge, it shouldn't be. Well, because at the end of the day,
yes,
you are still going to leave that house. It's not yours.
Yes, it's not yours.
And
it's not yours.
And now move society that you have destroyed. You know?
Very so sad. Well, but that's the reality we find ourselves. But in all of this, it still boils down on the table of the electorate, the Nigerian, who might not understand all of the jargons that we have, to talk about. What they're more concerned, especially for those in Rivers State, is that the man they voted, the man they camped behind, the man they had like a son, their father, is now singing another song that they do not like. And for them, they feel defeated that, hey, we were there for you, but now you've betrayed us. That is what the common man is talking about. And that would actually determine what his 2027 decision would look like. So that is what we have to say. But just to let you know that Mr. Dotun will still be here to take us on our main conversation when we return. Security first. Tinubu presents a massive 58.18 trillion 2026 budget in a beat still enterprise morning. Please don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.